Hey y'all, John here from Second Chance Composting. How you doing today? We're going to review a pressure washer today. Please like and subscribe to our videos. We do all sorts of composting work in the Berkshires, Mass, parts of southern Vermont, and we're sharing our story here. The ups, the downs, the good, the bad, equipment, reviews, things that work, things that don't work. Really pretty much the whole gamut of being a hauler and processor of food scraps, leaves, wood chips, sawdust, manure, and creating finished compost out of it, delivering the compost, selling the compost, all of it. We want to be a full-scale channel for anybody looking to do this or that's interested in it in much the same way that there's channels online that guys talk about their firewood operations. So that's what we do here. I'm about to review this pressure washer today. So pressure washing is a huge part of our model in our business. We originally started using bags when we started our business. We would bag our big 32-gallon containers, 35-gallon containers, totes, which I have another video on those, and we would then dump the material out, throw the bags away after that. But really, it's not a system we wanted to do because we didn't want to be wasting bags, just throwing them away. We also didn't want to use the compostable bags, which we did for a little while, but we found that they weren't really compostable. A lot of greenwashing, can't really know who to believe, so we avoid bags at all costs, both as a business and it's a cost, not only to the environment, but to us out of pocket to keep buying them and using them and just throwing them away. It's a one-time use of plastic that's no good, so we moved away from it as soon as we possibly could. And the way we did that is with a pressure washer. We had to get a whole system in to be able to rinse our totes on site, and we do that now, but this is more specifically about this pressure washer, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this specifically. I do talk about our rinsing in other videos, but let me show you this. This is a Powerhorse 3400 PSI 2.7 gallon per minute pressure washer. This is not made for commercial scale. This is just a homeowner type of pressure washer. We bought this for $300 from Northern Tool. The reviews were up and down. Some really good, some really bad. It was our first time trying our pressure rinse system out, so we decided to bite the bullet, try this one out at a minimum cost, and see how it worked. Overall, we've been very happy with it. So a couple of the details. Again, $300 from Northern Tool. We bought this at the end of June, and we started using it in July, and it's now November. So July, August, September, October, and mid-November now. So 4 months, 4.5 months maybe, we've been using this for our commercial scale business. We just changed the oil for the first time like a week or two ago, and our maintenance guy, Don, told me that the oil had a little bit of a shine to it when it shouldn't, so he said that kind of shows that the engine isn't running as proper as it should. So I'm not all that surprised. The reviews were good and bad for this. Some horrible reviews, some really good ones. I guess it all kind of depends on who you talk to and what they're using it for and how they treat it too. So we've been happy with it overall. So let me get into a little bit more of the details. Again, I've only been using it for those 4 months about, but we've been putting it to use. So we go out on 3 separate days and pick up material and rinse all the totes. So on a typical Thursday, we're rinsing, let me think, maybe around 30, 35, 40 totes. And then throughout our other runs on Sunday and Monday, we're also rinsing anywhere from probably about 15, but anywhere from 10 to 20 more. And then we rinse our trailer at the end of the day. So it gets a decent amount of use. It's not like this has been sitting around. we just try to get all the use in 1 or 2 days if we can, and then let it sit for, the few days in between. So it's not like we're out 5, 6, 7 days a week using it for hours and hours on end. Our current route on Thursday, we're out for maybe 3 or 4 hours, um, and then we probably use it for another hour total, if that, to rinse the totes from the other days. So it's getting good amount of use, but not crazy amount. So our plan is to put this up for the winter, and not use it, because we bought a different warm hot pressure washer. This is a cold pressure washer run by gas. Um, so we've been happy with this. It got us through our first rinsing system where we were learning it with our other equipment that we had to get, our pump and um, our generator, things like that. So we've been happy with it. The 3400 PSI has done us well. In all my research before operating a composting business, I looked into pressure washers, and really nobody told me how many PSI I was going to need. So I had to reach out to a couple other composters to get a good idea. The 3400 is pretty good. If I could go higher, I would. It gets the job done. Sometimes there's little things left over that we have to kind of go and get the nooks and crannies and like do it, spray it at different angles and things like that. But this will get our totes fully rinsed each time, numerous totes in a row. The 2.7 gallons per minute, honestly, we're not running this for a couple of our stops. We're running it for 5-10 minutes at a time, but most of the other stops are really like turning it on, spraying 1 or 2 totes out, and then turning it back off. So maybe running it for a minute or two. Like I said, two of our other big accounts were having on for 10 minutes or more while we rinse 10, 12 totes. But for the most part, it's only a minute or two that it's on each time, and we're not going through that much water. Decent amount, but that 2.7 gallons per minute, a number doesn't really mean that much to me. I really look at the PSI. So this thing's been good. It's gas powered. Make sure this lid is on there tight. We've had it screwed not on fully, or forgot to put it on and had a mess. It's pretty simple to turn on, just a pull. We've had no issue starting it. 1 or 2 pulls, usually 2, depending on the weather. You just pop this on there and then turn it off like that. Simple. Here's the choke and the on and off here. Simple. And then here's the I don't even know what the word is, but RPMs maybe. That's probably not the correct way of saying that. I'm not a heavy equipment person. Not that this is heavy equipment, but I'm learning a lot of this as I go. So we keep it on the highest setting, the big rabbit there, rather than the tortoise. The hare. We go all the way with the hare to the tortoise, and that gets the job done. We checked the air filter not that long ago. After using it for that amount of time, totally clean, nothing wrong with it. Again, the oil was a little bit messier than we would have liked. Changing the oil is not hard at all on this thing. Let me show you here. Where is it? If I can remember where we did this. A little bit more prepared, I'm sorry here. Anyway, there's just a bolt, a nut you take off, and then you just have to lean this forward a certain way. So you can check the oil right here. And the oil change was very simple. So it comes with these different nozzles, 40 degree, 25 degree, 15 chemical nozzle, and the spare, which we've already lost. The chemical we haven't used, we use the 15 almost all the time, pretty much everywhere, unless there's a job where we come back and we are spraying off the driveway or something like that. But get the different options there. This thing's been pretty versatile for as cheap as it is. For $300, the amount we saved just in bags makes it worth it for the 4 months we got it. One thing I don't like, while I'm thinking of it, is this cord. So this has a system where you can wrap the cord up here. Can you see that? But it's just there for looks, really, because it really doesn't work. This hose for the pressure washer, they make different types of hoses, which I'm learning about. But this is like a hard hose, and it's not very malleable. So honestly, after I got done the other day, I put this in here the best way I could to make it look as good as possible to store it. But really, it's hard to make this wrap up properly, and you're almost never going to be able to wrap it up properly around here in a nice circular motion. So it's not going to look great. So I'm thinking of replacing that hose, but not a huge deal. But yeah, this can be kind of a problem. Another thing here this actually is a flaw in the design that I really don't like is where this handle sits here. So it's got this little handle holder here. This is not very sturdy. I actually have to screw that in a little bit better, but this pops off all the time. And this should be higher because even when it's sitting in here properly, it drags on the ground. So really this system should be better. There should be maybe like a strap or something that goes over here, which I can do pretty easily. But just the way it sits in here is not very well built. Not well built, but it could be built in a much different design that would make it much simpler and easier to use. So I tend to almost never use this holder because it sits in there incorrectly and kind of makes for a mess. Tires are solid. The frame is good. We've had no problem with that. This thing is up and down, in and out of our truck all the time. We've actually had it in the back, have it in the back of our truck, and when I found that when it's empty, it for some reason, when we unhook the incoming water, I don't know if it's because the weight of the water coming in or out, I don't know why, but that's when it seems to tip over in the back of our truck. So we have this driving around, we'll go pick our totes up, rinse them all out, and then we'll disconnect it when we're done rinsing, but then we still have to drive, and that's when this thing will kind of get topsy-turvy and it's tipped over in the back of our truck a couple times. Now we strap it in to make sure it doesn't, but, and it's fallen over a couple times like that in the back of the truck, and it hasn't broken or anything like that. So it can withstand some, I don't want to say abuse, but some mistakes and mistreatment because of learning experience, basically. So yeah, it moves pretty easily. It's not that heavy. I can get up in my truck myself if need be. The on and off is very simple. We are very happy with it. I would show you it off, but I'm not going to hook it up. It's all cold out here. You've seen it in other videos. Another thing, too, that I should mention is back here, this is where the water comes in. We found that, I don't know if it's because we're using a pump to pump our water in, we're not just using a regular hose. We find that if we put the hose all the way on, and then turn it on, the air pressure, something about it might get caught, or it's not running through properly, and then you go to spray it, and it's not getting the water, even though the water's going through. So we found at the beginning of the day, we leave the hose a little bit loose, and water will come spraying out. When we turn everything on, all of our water on, turn this on, and it'll come spraying out a little bit out of here, and then we spray the gun, and then it's running through there, and then we just tighten that right after that, and then we're good for the rest of the day with it running through. But each morning when we start, we keep it a little bit loose so it's not fully airtight, because if it's fully airtight at the beginning, it doesn't feed the water through properly. That's pretty much the basics of it. For $300 and for our use, it's made a lot of sense. I would buy another one pretty much in an instant. And again, we're only in for a little while here with this thing, and I plan to use it again next year after using our other pressure washer. We have found that I think if I were to move up, and I'm going to move up to a hot pressure washer in the winter because I need to, I think I might find that I would have liked to be using the hot all along, because this works, but sometimes stuff gets stuck in there and it takes a little longer to rinse out than we would like. Um, Maybe that's the PSI. I think part of it is the fact that it's not hot water, but that's something we'll see after this winter, and then I can reevaluate next year if I feel like it's worth it to move up and buy something newer with a higher PSI that's cold, or just use the hot pressure washer year round. Um, but for 300 bucks, again, as where our business is at, it makes sense to kind of use this as the bang around, you know, the one we're learning on before we buy like a really heavy duty piece of equipment that we um, don't want to make mistakes on. So this was okay to like make those mistakes of having it fall over in the back, or to learn a little like ins and outs of it and what works for us and doesn't work, putting it up in another truck, some of that type of banging around stuff. Um, and we're happy with the 3400. Ordering it was easy. Other than that, I don't really have much else. I think that we will use this again next year. Oh, another thing. We haven't used the chemical spray at all. We've never put anything in here. We're only running water through it, so I don't have anything to speak on that. As far as gas, this thing doesn't use that much gas. I'm very happy with the amount that we use. We can take 2 trips in, a full day's work on a tank or less. So we're really happy with that. Um, yeah, I mean, that's basically the gist of it. Very easy to put together, not a big issue to, um, a couple bolts they sent. The tires are hard. They're not blow-up tires, so they're nice and heavy duty. Some of these things need to be re-screwed after a lot of up and down jostling with this, but for the most part, we're really happy with it. It's done a really good job for us in our first year of this spraying system, and we'll kind of reevaluate after the winter to see how we're going to move forward. But if it's still running, I'm going to use it. We're all about reuse. We're all about um, not buying things that we don't need to buy if we already have something doing the job. So unless it's a significant difference with the hot pressure washer, a little bit more PSI that one has, we'll probably stay with this until it doesn't run anymore, especially through the spring and summer weather. So that's that. I'll at some point do a review of our other pressure washer, our hot one. We haven't even used it yet. So we've got it up and running, but we haven't used it on a run yet. So once we do that, um, after this winter, I can give an update on that. But this is again the Powerhorse 3400 PSI, 2.7 gallon per minute from Northern Tool. You can get it other places. It was $300 as of 2024. We've been using it for 4 months, about maybe 4.5, with no problems. It's been good to us. We're going to continue to use it, see how it runs again next year when we need it, and that's about it. So, secondchancecomposting.com. Second is written out. Please like and subscribe to our videos. Happy to share. If you got any questions or comments, you've had experience with this, please let us know in the comments down below. Other than that, happy composting. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.